Thank you. Ms. Tait, thank you for giving us your time today. We much appreciate it. In your opening remarks, one of the statements that you made is that of course, you outlined some challenges that the CBC faces. I should also outline, though, that every other media outlet in this country doesn't start off with $1.4 billion taxpayer dollars at the start of the year. So while you might look to, play a bit of a card there in terms of poor me, let's start off with the fact, and that is, compared to other outlets in this country that are conducting themselves to perform at a higher standard than the CBC in many ways, they're not starting off with that. So I think that's an important point that needs to be acknowledged right off the bat. Ms. Tait, we're here to talk about job cuts and bonuses, or you prefer to call them performance awards. And so my first question for you is, you've had 2 months to think on it. Of course, you were asked during an interview on national news, in fact, the CBC National, you were asked whether or not bonuses would be considered for executives. And you said it wasn't ruled out, essentially. And so having 2 months to think about it, have you come to a conclusion? Will there be bonuses for the executives within CBC?
Thank you for the question. I just want to clarify the reality of the obligations of the public broadcaster. Of course, we have the privilege of a very, very generous parliamentary allocation, which, by the way, has not substantially increased in over 30 years. And during that time, we have added to traditional and radio, traditional television and radio, with digital services on all platforms. So we're operating with the same budget that we had 30 years ago. And where we get the same pressure as our colleagues in the private sector is from, in fact, the third of our budget that we earn in commercial revenues, which are absolutely vulnerable to the vagaries of the market. And that's the place where we have challenges.
Ms. Tait, in the interest of time, could you please answer my second question? My question, there wasn't actually two, there's just one. Mm-hmm. Perfect. If you could answer it, thank you.
So to the question of performance pay, as I have said in my remarks, the performance pay is a critical part of total compensation.
My question was just whether or not you would be giving it. Will you be giving bonuses to executives?
My response to that question is to say that we have a process, a rigorous process. It is not my decision to award performance pay. It is, in fact, the decision of the Board of Directors, and that decision comes at the end of the fiscal year. We have another 2 months before we reach the end of the fiscal year. And as I have also said in public, everything is on the table. So we will see at the end of fiscal year, based on results and where we are financially.
So as the CEO, you do not make the decision. You have no say in whether or not bonuses are granted.
All of the management team measures and analyzes our results on an annual basis, which are published very clearly in our
CEO,
in the quarterly reports.
You have no say in whether or not bonuses are given.
All of the management team presents to the Board of Directors the results of our year against KPIs, key performance indicators that have been tracked throughout the year, and based on the analysis and the results, the Board of Directors makes its decision. I should just point out, perhaps of interest, for example, last year, we did not meet 2 of our KPIs, and our bonus level
I'll go to my
was
next
reduced.
Question now. I realize that you'll do your best to talk out the clock, so I'll just kind of keep us going along here. My next question is this. Those KPIs, would you table those with this committee?
They're public in our annual report.
Perfect. Thank you. Based on the metrics that are used then, last year, you gave out $16 million in taxpayer-funded bonuses to the staff. That was an average of $14,000 to staff members at the CBC. Most Canadians don't even see half of that in a bonus, not even a quarter of that in a yearly bonus. $14,000 was the average amount that was given to CBC staff. What were the metrics that were used in order to determine that bonus amount?
So again, the KPIs are published and they're very clearly have to do with performance of the service, for example, digital reach, for example, engagement with news in the regions, for example, performance on engagement with kids and children. All of those are published very clearly in our annual report. And I actually want to, if I may I ask? I think your number is wrong. If I want to correct the record.
I would just highlight for you that it's interesting to me because you're saying that these are the metrics, but actually the viewership of the CBC is cut in half since you took leadership in 2018. It's come down by half. So it's interesting to me that you're giving bonuses or performance awards when, in fact, the CBC is performing the poorest it's ever performed. So bonuses keep going up. They keep skyrocketing. But performance, as you say the bonuses are granted based on,
I really, if I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to correct the record. If I may correct the record.
Ms. Tait, my question for you, for 2023, will you be given a bonus?
I would like to correct the record, if I may, Madam Chair. First of all, I don't believe the number was 16 million in last year. I'm going to ask Marco Dubé, who manages the people in culture at our company, to correct the error that the member has stated.
Sorry, Madam Chair, through you, I do have a question on the table, and that is, Ms. Tait, for 2023, will you be given a bonus?
I'm going to come back to your question after he corrects the record.
Madam Chair, I would ask you, through you, Madam Chair, the witness knows that her instructions here are to answer the questions that have been given.
Have 27
She can correct
seconds.
the record by sending in a written notice if she wishes.
You can do that, Ms. Tait. In fact, you've gone over time.
My time has been interrupted numerous times because the witness doesn't want to answer my question. It's very simple. Will she be given a bonus in 2023?
It's not my decision whether I get a bonus or not. Let's just be clear.
Thank you. That's enough time. I'm going to go to the Liberals.